Voices from the Mausoleum is brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network and yourunpodcast.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to an episode of Remakes and Continuations with my co-host, Scott from the You Run Podcast.
Hello. Yeah, you may have taken a wrong turn to get here. That was bad.
Don't tell people that. We want people to watch it.
that was bad. I shouldn't have done that. That was terrible. I could do so much better than that. I feel I'm ashamed of my poor joke.
Well, in your defense, we've been on camera for a little while now. It's not like it's super fresh. It's getting late for you, so
yeah. Well, we have fourth wall break. We record bulk episodes.
Yes, we have an immense time difference, though. Our time difference is 5 hours. Just ignore it. And it can be hard to record sometimes. But yeah, so if you haven't guessed by the joke that Scott gave us at the beginning of the episode, we are talking the 2021 remake of Wrong Turn.
Yeah. I'm going to start with the original Wrong Turn. Mm-hmm. So the original Wrong Turn, I have a huge dislike for because it is The Hills Have Eyes light. It is, they wanted to make another movie like The Hills Had Eyes, and I feel it has nothing original about it. It is just a rip-off.
Really?
Yeah, I've got real issue with the entire Wrong Turn franchise. I just find it's a goofy, silly version of The Hills Have Eyes, which the original and the remake are both better than any Wrong Turn movie.
I really like the original.
Really?
Yeah, and this may be another thing where it's like a nostalgia thing. I don't know, but like it's got all my Disney people in it, and it's got Faith from Buffy. So I think the reason I feel that way is I think it might be like a nostalgia thing. It's got some Disney people in it that I love. It's got Faith from Buffy, Elijah Dushku's in it, and I just absolutely love her. I think that's probably a lot of it. I thought the original was pretty, it gave me some anxiety and stuff. But again, it came out so long ago. I think if it came out now, I probably wouldn't feel the same way. But I also couldn't do The Hills Have Eyes.
No, so when was the original? Because I didn't get to the Wrong Turn franchise until 2 years ago. So like by the time I got to the Wrong Turn franchise, it was like I got to the Wrong Turn franchise as the remake was released.
Oh, okay. Came out in 2003.
Yeah, so the remake was my first Wrong Turn movie.
Did you get okay, so then when you watched it, you went back and watched the original? And...
Yeah, after I watched the remake, and then I went, okay, that was okay. It was quite slow, and then I went back and I watched Wrong Turn, which is the best of the bunch. And I think it's Wrong Turn 3 where the wheels just completely fell off and they reached the point where they didn't care anymore. It just became almost like spoofy.
Yeah, it got pretty bad. I think I gave up at that point. But I think that the thing, so there's like a line in this one in the remake where they're like where she says like, oh, you know, they want to watch whatever that movie is. What did she say? Like a cannibal inbred movie or something? Yeah. And it's definitely like a jab, right? Because that's what The Hills Have Eyes and then Wrong Turn, the original Wrong Turn, had going for it. And I think it was a jab at the audience who may have had opinions about the fact that they went a different route with this compared to
that's one thing I love about this remake.
That it was different.
It was different, but they made a really bold choice to do that. And I think the reason this didn't do as well is because so many people who watched and loved the original Wrong Turn, whether they like the sequels or not, when they come into this, they were expecting that story and they didn't get it. And I think that's why
they were mad.
They were annoyed because I think that's where the backlash for this came, because this got panned by lots of people.
So it's weird because I saw people posting that they liked it, but I saw more people, of course, posting that they didn't. And I'm not like, I liked the first one, but this is another franchise that I'm just not like super invested in. So it wasn't a priority for me to see it. Like it just wasn't one of those things like where I was like, oh, gotta go see. Like I didn't really care. Like it wasn't one I cared about.
No, so I watched this on, like, I think it was the end of the year. It popped up on one of the streaming services and it was free.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it, and then I watched it again yesterday. Um, First watch, it was okay. It kept me engaged. I thought there's some really good elements of when they first start spotting the people in all the horns and the costume, like those first few moments of the oh shit, there's other people in the woods, like all of that I
Yeah.
thought was great.
Yeah.
Where it falls apart a bit for me is when they get captured. I kind of like I find the idea of people living in the hills to this day in a large country that haven't been discovered. I find that so far-fetched. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It relies on the kind of, I don't know, I guess I wouldn't call it lore, but it kind of relies heavily on the unease that people feel when they're talking about the word
Appalachians.
Appalachia. Yeah. It's like people associate a lot of stuff with that, like a lot of stuff. And so it's kind of like a pull at something that is already been used to create tension and feelings of unnerved and that kind of thing. But I agree. I think it's really far fetched. I think, especially to that extent, like
Yeah,
how many people, the other people in the town knowing that they're there, like it's like at what point, like they're just people. Like, not that people can't be scary. I'm not arguing that. They are often more times than monsters. But I think in this situation, it's like, but why didn't you just like go blow them up or something? Like if they're kidnapping people, killing people, doing all these things,
yeah, deal
why
with it.
haven't you done something about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I get it, there are people who live nomadically. We've got people who live in the forest who look after the forest here. They live and work, and they're all employed by the Forestry Commission here in where I live. But these are
Interesting.
people who live in the forest and they tend to the forest. So
Huh.
when there's storms and trees are like half fallen over,
Mm-hmm.
you'll go into the forest one day and there's trees like leaning against other trees. You'll
Mm-hmm.
go back in 3 days' time and they've all been chopped neatly and stacked in a pile. And that's not the council that's do that. That's the people who live in the forest.
I don't know if we have anything like that in the States.
See, we've got that here where I live. So where I filmed my movie, there are
Right.
people who live in those woods, which we came across numerous times when we're filming. And they're normal people. They're nice people. They
Yeah.
talk to you. They ask you why you're there. They ask for your permits, all that kind of stuff. But they're nice. So
That's interesting. I didn't know.
I know it can
Okay.
happen, but it's also something that when it is happening, people are aware of it. And if they were kidnapping and killing people, the police would be in that forest in seconds and they'd all
It's
be
not,
arrested.
yeah, it wouldn't be like, well, especially when we learn like how many people it keeps happening to. Like it's not like, I will say, like, okay, so this is definitely slow. This took forever. Like I watched the first half of it one day and then I had to watch because I got to like the hour mark and I was like, oh my God, there is another 50 minutes to this film.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, and I was just thinking, I was like, why? And so the next day I was like, I have to finish watching this. It's not so bad that it's a do not finish kind of thing. So I was like, all right, so I finished watching it. And a couple of things I think that it has that work fine is I think aesthetically, the people in the woods look cool. I'm fine with
Yeah.
that. They look cool. I think the concept of technically them not starting out, they're not bad people. They're like, no, like you killed somebody. Because the first person that dies in this dies because of a tree. It's not even
Yeah.
like it's not like somebody grabbed him and like, it's different. It's a different feel for what's happening. And then one of their people kills one of their people thinking in self-defense, but then the person he thought was dead shows back up and ends up that's like he just killed somebody for no reason.
And the
However,
tree kill's amazing.
yeah, the tree looked good. The teeth and like the
Yeah.
that did look really good. But it's like, but I think the kind of like intrigue with that goes away because no, they like are bad people though. Like I liked the element of like, well, now you have to answer to this situation because you just murdered somebody without needing to. I liked that angle, but then when it goes back and you're like, oh, Like, we taking people for brides, and we got people in a cave with no eyeballs. I was like, okay, well, that whole element was a waste of time, because these really are bad people and they did deserve to be killed, So that part, I think, was a flaw in the storyline that probably should have been left alone. Like, I don't think it should have tried to do that. That didn't work for me.
No, and again, I think that's where they've tried to make it different. And they've tried to keep some elements of the original within it, because in the original, the cannibals, they are bad people. There's no
not
if,
good.
buts, or maybes. They are just taking people who are going camping. Yeah. So I think they wanted that to be in there. But I think had they just gone, let's not do that. Like, this didn't need to be called Wrong Turn.
I agree. It could have been its own film. Its own.
Yeah, and I think it's far enough removed from Wrong Turn that it would have stood on its own 2 feet.
I don't think anybody would have compared it to Wrong Turn either, honestly.
No, I think the problem is, like, there's a desire within Hollywood for reboots, but the desire is there for money, and it's got nothing to do with, like, one of the things we say about remakes is it's bringing it to a new audience, bringing that original story in a new way to a new audience.
Yeah.
This is bringing us a completely different story to everyone, because it's got nothing to do with Wrong Turn at all, apart from there's a group of people who go into the woods.
Yeah. Well, and the thing, and it's almost unfortunate that I wasn't able to really dig this one, because I think that there's some good stuff in it. Like, I really do. Like, that scene in the underground when they're trying to escape and there's just people down there. That was wicked. I loved that. That was really good and unsettling. And you're just kind of like, oh, like, that was good.
Yeah.
It did a couple things I don't like. I don't like when horror movies get people out and then take us right back into a situation where they're not technically out. I hate that. I don't like, and I also really, really hate, and it did this right after this, I really, really don't like made up imaginary shit where you see this whole scene play out and they just imagined it. Hate it. I hate when they do that shit. And, like, if you were going to have them, the leader or whatever, show back up like that, she definitely should have killed him. Like that. In that scene, not the after scene. If they had ended it like that, where she lost everybody except her dad after everything else she had already been through, and then she kills him, I would have been there for that.
Yeah.
But then she, like, zooms out, and I was like, these motherfuckers. I was so mad when that happened. I hate that trope. That is one of my least favorite tropes in horror. Stop doing that. Hate it.
There is one place that trope works, and it works perfectly. And that's Dexter.
Oh.
When Dexter fantasizes his kills,
it makes sense, though.
It does make sense, and it works. Like, I'm not a big fan of it either. And, like, the first, like, I rewatched Dexter recently all the way through, and like, when he does it, and, like, he'll look at someone and, like, you'll see him have that moment of, yeah, I'm going to kill him. They've done it in Saw 10 as well. Jigsaw does it with the guy who's like. That works.
Eyeballs. That was good.
That works because that's in their head and they're planning what they're going to do.
Right.
But, like, when she does it, it doesn't make sense because there's no reason for her to do that. She's in the moment. She can actually do that.
Yeah, I hated it. It pissed me off. I was like, because the oh my God of, like, the killing of the family members, like the 2 brothers and the mom, like, that was such a, like a tug of, like, like, oh no, shit, and then it, like, I'm telling you, when it zoomed out, I was furious. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I was so mad. And it's like, fine, and then it slashes up, she goes and then it shows up the title card, and I was like, I was still fuming. Like, I'm getting more and more mad the longer it's going on. And then you get the after that scene, and it's like, okay, I guess, but I'm so mad at this point that I hate the ending. Like, I was just like, why couldn't that have happened inside the house? Like, the way that it did in the dream or whatever, not dream, but it made up scene in her head.
Yeah. Yeah. And this movie's not a bad movie, but I would argue this is one of the worst remakes we've ever covered.
Yeah. Because it's not really a remake.
It's genuinely not. I mean,
Yeah, by
this isn't.
definition, it's not.
No, this is as much of a remake as, for example, Megan is a remake of Child's Play.
That's a great example, I think. Yeah. And it's weird because I think that they made it knowing they wanted to be different, and they made the argument in the film in dialogue about it being different.
Yeah.
But it's just didn't need to be the and then the other thing that I thought was funny, or not funny, I guess, but like a weird choice, is making the potentially threatening rednecks like helpers. Like, I wasn't really sure. I was like, I mean, I get the point. Like, I get it. There needed to be, I think at some point it wouldn't have made sense for them to get away. Otherwise, I get all of that. I get their purpose. I don't think that their purpose makes sense overall. Because he's like, oh, you saved my life by talking about the yellowing of my eyes. And I'm like, bruh. If the only place you hang out is a pool hall and you're only, the only thing you're consuming is alcohol, I think you can probably get there on your own. Like, what the fuck? Like, and it being like, it kind of painted the picture like that's why he was helping. But like, you let a family member die and you did nothing, but a stranger told you had yellow in your eyes and you're going to risk it all. I don't understand.
Well, the thing is, like, that there's an argument to be made that is redneck logic.
That you ignore your family needing revenge, but you just help a total stranger.
Yeah, that's a trope that's been used in other movies as well.
Yeah,
it's I don't know if there's an element of truth in that, but there's many movies where redneck type characters will like, fuck my family, they can all die. Oh, but this young lady here with the very tight top, I will help her because that's the right thing to do. There's lots of movies that do that.
And now the boyfriend that I didn't agree with is like out of the equation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like the whole third act. I was just like, oh my god. She like gets it. She's like, oh, she like goes to work with her dad and does the whatever. And the other thing is too is like, I don't mind journey stories, like stories about like people finding their way or discovering themselves. And I really thought she was going to discover herself. Like, I thought she was going to come out of it. And she didn't. She went back and did the shit her dad wanted her to do. It's like, what was the point in all of that? Like, you were the same person. I don't understand.
She discovered that she was easily swayed and just wanted an easy life.
She's like, well, dad got beat up trying to save me. So I guess I owe him that much.
Her father's story is quite good. I quite like the fact that he's gone, I'm going to go find her. Because like that, I found really genuine. Like, if one of my kids went missing, that would be, oh, she's held by people in the. I don't give a shit if she's held by Satan himself. I'm going.
Yep.
And I'm either coming back with her or I will be dead trying to bring her back. And I found the dad quite believable, and I quite liked the dad's character. He's an asshole in the beginning, but I feel he had quite a redeeming arc.
Well, yeah, that's why you should always treat people good to begin with, because you never know when that is going to be tested, right? Because the change in tone happens when he thinks he's never going to have her back.
Yeah.
So there's lessons in it, I guess. And the thing is like, I messaged you when this part happens, but the part when he finds her, I'm a little confused on the timeline. And the only reason I was able to decipher that any time had passed is because eventually you see the boyfriend with like a lot of facial hair.
Yeah.
But before that, you're thinking, dang, it didn't take long for her to get brainwashed. Like, that happened really fast. And then you see his facial hair, but you're still a little confused. But then it does technically get better, because then she shows that she's not actually converted. She just pretended that way so they didn't both die. And I was okay with that at that point, because initially I was like, for real? Like, for real? And then, she convinces her husband or whatever that she's for real. Like, and then he goes to bed. She does exactly what she needs to do to get him to do that. He goes to sleep. She goes to help. Like, I thought that made that other part a little bit more believable. But initially I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. There ain't no way. There's no way. But
Yeah, and I like the fact that she faked it, and I think
yeah,
that if
I
I
did
was
too.
put in a similar situation, I would 100% be, yeah, yeah, I believe whatever you want me to believe. I'm fully invested. Yeah, whatever you need to
Yeah,
make you happy, so you
yeah,
don't kill me. I'm on board. We
yeah.
we worship a pink mushroom. Fine, no problem at
Whatever
all.
you say. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Um,
yeah, I found that element quite believable. I also
I
have
did like that.
questions that if she was there a long time, there's only so long you could fake it before you start to actually believe it.
That's true. No, and this I think fell in between that sweet spot of still holding on to yourself before, because like we see that with the boyfriend,
Yeah,
or I guess ex-boyfriend, because
yeah,
but
ex-boyfriend because she's now
the
married.
ex-boyfriend, but he, he's like, no, I'm staying. Like they see me, and I'm like, you're an idiot. But sure, whatever. I also, and the other thing I did want to say as a positive is I did like that she killed their friend, the friend that was in the, because I think it was like this moment of like, she couldn't take him with them. He's a
Yeah,
liability. There's no way they would have been able to get away taking the friend, and to choose to just end his misery, while the harder decision I do think was the right decision. And I appreciated them taking that path, because I especially hate it in video games, but I hate in movies when they're like, no, I'm going to do the right thing. And it's like, at some point, self preservation has to kick in. Now, if it's a child, I have different feelings on that. But a grown ass adult that's already like, you got to make a decision here. And I did really like that they made her hard enough to where she was
yeah,
like, I got to do this, but I can't let him just live like this. So she kills him. I thought that was great.
yeah. I've got to say, if it was a family member or a child,
Yeah.
100% they'd be coming with me.
Yes.
If it was a friend, I hate to say it, I would have no hesitation to
Yeah.
make the
No.
decision to save myself over that
Yep.
person.
And I would think that my friend would know I would want them to do that, because here's the
Yeah,
reality. My life is like not over. People can live without their eyes, I guess. But the thing is like, if you have something to go back to, and I don't, because like he didn't. His boyfriend died. It's not like they had a family, or like, you know what I mean? It's like I would want my friend to make that decision too.
yeah,
Just fix it. Do not leave me here like this. That is awful. But I just, yeah, I really loved that they made her make that decision, because for that second, I was like, she's going to take him with them. It's going to cost
yeah.
them everything. But anyway, I'm glad that that's not what happened.
This is where you and me are different though, because if I was the friend who had no eyes, I'd be like, no, I'm coming with you. I will navigate my way blind. It's fine. Just like clap as you run away, and I'll follow the claps. I'll be
Oh my
fine.
God.
I don't want you to kill me. I don't want you to kill me, and I don't want you to leave me here. I want you to take me with me, and just like whistle as you run through the woods, and I will follow the sound.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, yeah, I would just be like, I don't know, like, it's like, there's this thing in Fable 3 where you have this guy that's, like, really special to your character, and you have a choice to leave him multiple times in the desert, and I can't do it. Every time I play, I'm like, "No," but he ends up making you leave him anyway. Like, so I'm like, so I get so frustrated with these decisions, because it's like, sometimes it ends up being it works out, but then sometimes it's like you do all of that for nothing. So that's what I was worried was going to be the case. I was like, she's going to do all this. They're going to get caught and die. And that's going to be the end of the movie. I'm going to be pissed. But she didn't. She made the decision to kill him. And I just think that had to have been a technically hard decision to make. But I think it was
Yeah,
the right one. And I was glad that she did that, because I was a little worried about where they were going to go after that.
yeah. So you mentioned Fable, the choice. There's one very similar in Fallout 4,
Yes.
where you get the option to give a homeless man water. And you don't have much at the beginning of the game. And that homeless
No.
man got nothing from me. And then towards the end of the game, that homeless man is very, very integral to your survival and how easy a part of the game is. And he's like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, I remember you. You gave me nothing. So you get nothing. I was like, damn
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes. It is a common thing in video games, I think, for those sort of characters to come up into play, and you're just like, oh God, like,
Yeah. As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, shit. Do
mhm.
you want a glass of water?
You're
I've
like,
got loads now.
oops.
That's why you should
Yikes.
always be nice to people.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an okay movie. I didn't really love it. I definitely don't even really know how to compare it to a Wrong Turn movie though, honestly.
You can't.
I think that the location is meant to be the same, because I think the original Wrong Turn happens in the well, maybe not. Oh no, I think it does. I think it takes place in the same mountains, or supposed to be in the same general, whatever. Because it's supposed to be like rough terrain, I think, to live there, and it's like only few people can really like go there and be all the time, and so I don't know, but yeah, I think if it was called something different, I don't think you would even compare it to. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this reminds me of Wrong Turn. Like, I don't think that would happen.
No, it wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't. Like this is a fairly unique movie. It doesn't remind me of anything else.
Mm-mm. No, I guess not. No.
Which, again, a shame. Why didn't you call it something else? It's like Child's Play 2019. Should have called that something else as well.
Mm-hmm. Should have called it the Buddy System.
Yeah, or just called it Buddy. Buddy from the Child's Play universe. Completely different take on it. Everyone would have been happy with that.
Yeah. This wasn't great. I really didn't love this movie as a remake or otherwise. Like, I really liked the first Wrong Turn, but I think, I don't know. This was just kind of okay, I guess. There were things about it I did like, but a majority of it annoyed me and frustrated me, and it was too slow, took too long to get going. And it was a much bigger story than I think it needed to be. This did not need to be almost 2 hours.
No, you could have done this in an hour and 30 easy.
Mm-hmm. I would even say an hour 20.
There's a good half an hour where they just walk.
You don't need it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't add anything.
No, well, it does. It adds half an hour of walking the woods.
Well, yeah, it adds time and annoyance. That's it. Yeah. Well, I just realized? I just realized we didn't rate the one before. What would you rate this?
I don't know. This is a 6 out of 10. It's okay. It's not great, but it's not a bad movie either. It's above average for this type of movie.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 4.
Yeah.
Like a 4 out of 10. I just wasn't blown away with enough to really like. I'll probably never revisit this. Actually, I know I won't. I'll never revisit this.
No, see, that's where I am with the whole Wrong Turn franchise, remake included. Like, I don't revisit any. I've watched them all once, and that's enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Remakes and Continuations. I don't know what we're doing next, so you just have to come back and see. Over on Voices with the You Run, we did Silent Hill last month, and then this month we're doing, I don't know, I can't remember what our schedule is, but as far as times, but The Crow, the original The Crow.
Yeah. Don't point more attention to that episode where people are going to shout at me more.
It's some controversy, so you should go watch it anyway. If it's not out yet, prepare yourself, because it will be. We'll see. But all right, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on the episode of Remakes and Continuations. We hope you have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you in the next one.
See you later.